All right, y'all. A little Halloween humor. What do you call a wolf who meditates? A werewolf. All right, I just had to. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Patty, for appreciating that. It is October, which here at Ahava we call Rocktober, and we talk about abundance and prosperity and ways to rock our experience of this thing called life. So today's topic is the wonder of giving. And I have a question for you. I'm curious, how would your life be different? Really think about this. If you truly knew, believed, and acted as if the act of giving was an expression of trust that aligns you with the infinite source of abundance. How would your life be different if you live from that place of trust, knowing that you can never outgive the infinite source of life that is the very essence of who you are? And just notice when I say these things, your mind might say, yeah, but you don't know my story. Well, I can give in this area, but not that area. Well, what exactly do you mean by giving? How much, right? All of those things, that mental chatter is exactly the place to become a werewolf in your own life, right? So we're going to explore today the transformative power of giving freely of our time and our talent and our treasure, and identify a bit about what stands in our way. Because what I know is that the act of giving is more than just an act of generosity. It's actually an affirmation of trust in the abundant universe, right? Because we live from the inside out. Just like a flower, if you would imagine the bud of a flower. Within this bud, you may see it at a certain stage of its evolution, and it just looks kind of like a hard green thing. But inside that is so much beauty waiting to unfold. And in its own sacred, precious, divine time, called to the light, it begins to open and to bloom and unfold so that the world may see its beauty and grandeur. We are the same. We are nature, an expression of life itself, expression of this thing we call God, the universe, the divine, spirit, whatever word works for you. Within each of us is that seed, is implanted that seed of genius, of pure potentiality, of wisdom, of abundance. And we get to choose to live from the inside out by allowing all that we are as spirit in expression to unfold and to show the world our beauty and grandeur. We live from the inside out. That is a spiritual truth, but often as humans, we get it turned around, yes? And we can find ourselves living from the outside in, allowing the things out there to inform us about who we are, allowing the messages we hear from other people or the media or the world to say, you are this, you are a woman, you are white, you are rich, poor, whatever it may be. And with each of those labels comes a whole litany of stories and beliefs and ideas about what that means. But when we remember the spiritual truth that we live from the inside out, only we can define what that means to us, because we are the meaning makers of our own life. And when we turn within and listen to that infinite presence within us that is always leading and guiding us, we can't help but want to express its infinite nature. When we give, we are being that mirror of the flow of life and creation itself. It is said that God gave us life, and our gift to God is our life, right? So the gift of Spirit is that we are created, and then we get to give back to Spirit by living our life to the fullest. And within each of us is this wellspring of life energy, of life force, life source, abundance, wisdom, infinite intelligence, creativity, freedom, joy. All of that is within us, and it's our privilege to allow it to flow and be expressed. Giving of ourself through creative self-expression, giving of who we are through our time in service, through our infinite abilities and gifts and talents, as well as giving of the good that we are always in flow with through our finances and money. Giving fosters a sense of joy and connection and deep fulfillment because it reminds us of the truth of who we are. We don't truly know that we have something or we are something until we express it and give it away. Otherwise, it's just this little thing that's kind of like a little hidden secret. So giving comes with it so many gifts itself. It is generative in nature. Being generous and generosity itself generates more and more good. So I want to ask you, what are some benefits of giving in your own life? Think about, why do you give? Why do you give? Whether it be giving of your money to support a cause or the spiritual center or something you care deeply about, or of your time and your service. Those of you get here super early, you don't have to do that. But why do you do it? Because there must be something that awakens within you that feels good. So anyone, just shout out, tell me, why are some reasons you give? How does it feel? Love. You give out of love and to feel love and to be love and to experience more love, right? Giving brings more love, yeah. Ditto on that. What else? Yeah, but no one else will. So you get to fill that void. That can be a whole other talk, Nasima. Let's have a conversation. Mm-hmm. Joy, yeah. You feel joy when you give, right? Anyone else? Living in purpose. Living on purpose and in purpose and as purpose. Yeah, it feels good. Community. Yeah, so when you give, you get to experience a sense of community and connection and oneness. Yes. Abundance and wholeness, connection, right? So there's so many benefits to giving. And I know for me, when I give something, I then feel more abundant and prosperous, right? And the gift is in the circulation, right? It's not just a one-way transaction. So as I give, and then I get to see, whether it be a person or an organization or whatever it may be, the fruits of that through the appreciation and what it creates by starting that cycle and that flow of giving, then it comes back to me and fills me up with this joy and abundance and reminder of the truth of who I am. And that's what I mean by it's generative, because then, of course, I want to give more. And as I give, if you picture, right, physically, this is an example of giving something, then your hand becomes an open hand. You become that void, that empty void, and the universe abhors a vacuum, and it must be filled with something. And what we know, what we teach here is this law of Reciprocity is once we give, we must receive. And what we put out comes back to us. So giving of our time, talent, and treasure opens us to be in that flow and remind us of who we are. And yet, there's often blocks and obstacles to giving. It can lead to overgiving and feeling resentful. If we begin to give from an expectation of, well, I'll give, but if this person doesn't do A, B, or C, or this place doesn't start to do this and that and the other, I'll give, but if they don't appreciate, or if I don't get a thank you card, right? All of these ways that we can get out of alignment with that pure flow of just giving because we can't help but to give because it feels good. And we're in that flow. And then also, as I talked about last week, there's this pervasive place that many people live, the majority of the collective consciousness live, which is called scarcity. Scarcity, right? And we can dance in and out of scarcity throughout our day, throughout our lifetime. But we always have the invitation by being aware, if it's Halloween, and coming back to the reminder that we are one with the infinite. And there's an infinite source within us. The law of giving states that when we feel constricted or lack, something's got to give, right? How many times are we like, I just can't, something's going, whether it be all the pressures and the activity of life and all that overwhelm, or the fear and the lack of finances and, I don't know how I'm going to do this or that, the other. Something's got to give. Think about that. Something's got to give. We must find a way to activate that flow to be open to receive by giving. So when things start to get tight, something's got to give, so start giving. And especially when your mind is telling you that you have nothing to give. This is the opportunity for healing and transformation to occur. By not giving from a place of lack, but to allow opening the flow by giving to shift your consciousness into the truth and placing your faith and trust in the infinite source of life. So giving is the exact opportunity to remind ourselves that we are infinite beings sourced by an infinite substance of life. And here's the nuance, y'all. This is why it's a practice. We also don't want to be giving simply to get, right? So if you're sitting there feeling like, I don't have enough time, I don't know, and Rainbow's telling me, okay, I just need to give so I can get. Well, if we're giving just to get something, again, it's the consciousness, the mindset behind anything that we do that is actually creating that vibrational ripple effect in our life. So it's not just the simple act of giving, it's shifting your consciousness to give from that overflow. Even when your mind may be saying, I have nothing to give right now, that's the place to turn within in consciousness, to meditate, and to ask Spirit, I don't know, I feel like I have nothing to give. Show me what I have to give. And perhaps it's a smile to the next person who walks past you. Our minds could say that it has to be some big financial gift, or I have to go, take a day off work and serve all day at the food pantry. That's just a trick of the ego mind to keep us from activating the flow in the one next easy step that we can do. We can always do and give something in this moment. When you turn within and ask. and align with that source first. And then saying, okay, Spirit, I'm trusting you. I'm doing this. And you step out fully in faith, trusting that a way will be made. A way will be made. And again, I want to come back to this idea that we're talking about giving in all forms. When we feel down, what can we do? Sing. We can sing and express ourselves. We can give of our talents. We can give of our time and service. Time, talent, and treasure. They're often called the 3 T's. So consider if there's an area of your life that feels out of balance, how can you begin to open up the flow by giving more? And if I had a student in the class that we're doing right now, the spiritual economics class, ask, well, if I'm feeling like I'm needing more money, and what I'm wanting to attract is more money, do I have to give money, or can I give of my time in order to open the flow to get more money? So I understand, right, the premise of this question, and my answer was kind of twofold, because there are some in this, teaching of new thought and metaphysics and science of mind, prosperity teaching that would say, open up and give in the area that you are lacking in order to receive in that area. I think it's more of a both and, right? I think that it's all energy and it's all an expression of the divine. So turning within and asking yourself, asking that higher wisdom within you, what do I have to give today? Please show me, Spirit, and stepping forth by giving of that in a way that you can fully give freely, right, without attachment to outcome or anything else like that. That will activate that flow, because how will that make you feel? We all just said it. Joy and abundance and whatever. And then you can move and grow from there. And I said, if you're feeling lack in a particular area and notice that you are always very generous in, say you're a generous giver of your finances but feel like you never have enough time, then there could be an opportunity to shift in that particular aspect by being willing to give of your time. So it's not like you have to do this, I guess is what I'm saying, right? Listen to yourself. I'm not here to say, oh yes, it's this way and this way. I know that any expression of giving opens that flow, and I think there's often an opportunity in that area that we may feel lack to practice stepping out on faith by giving in that area and being open as a divine experiment to see how it transforms your life, right? In the spiritual economics book that we're studying this month, Eric Butterworth tells a story. And again, this book was written back in the day. So some of the stories and language are a little archaic, but the spiritual principles are timeless. So he tells of a traveling preacher that goes to a small little community church that doesn't have a minister, that's looking for someone to fill in that Sunday. And he comes with his young son, and he gives the message, and they pass the offering, and he gives what he has, which is about $1 in his wallet. Today, that would probably equal to a 20. And then at the end of the service, the board member or whoever is running that church comes to him and says, thank you so much for sharing and being here with our precious community. We have very little operating funds, so what we can offer you is, what came in through the offering today. And he gives him the dollar bill, because that was what was in the offering basket. And at first the preacher receives it and kind of feels, right, feels a little bit of that disappointment, and then looks down at his son and goes, oh, Dad, if you would have given more, you would have gotten so much more. This is how the law of giving works, right? Because what is really occurring is that it's just spirit life giving and receiving of itself, all in the flow of oneness. So what would it mean to open up the flow and activate our trust in this law of giving by taking that initial step, moving forward in faith to move from lack and not enoughness to then proving God's Spirit as your source and substance of all supply by getting into that flow. Sharing of your time, the gift of your presence, actively listening, being, supporting someone, creating a meaningful connection, being of service, sharing of your talents, your unique gifts and skills, your creativity, your abilities, and sharing without any expectation of return, but simply for the joy of enhancing the lives of others in your community. Giving of your treasure, your financial or material giving, as a tangible expression in the trust of the abundant nature of the universe. And if your mind says, I've got nothing to give, I guarantee you, you all have a junk drawer or a place in your closet, something that's sitting there collecting dust that no longer serves you, that may benefit someone else. Start the flow there and donate something, right? We have our food pantry. We invite you when you go grocery shopping, if you're able to, pick up a few extra cans and bring them on Sunday to fill our food pantry. There are many ways we can give, and we can begin to use this practice to shift from the mindset of scarcity and lack and fear and doubt and insufficiency to beginning to open to the truth and the flow of the infinite source within. Surrendering control, letting go of the need to manage what it looks like or the outcome, but simply trusting that we are always supported and trusting in the reciprocity of the universe. So this week, I invite you to start small with a little divine experiment. What is a step that you can take that is a meaningful way to give? And do so consciously and stay aware to then notice how you feel when you give. And if you give and that fear and lack comes over, just notice it. Breathe into it, allow it. Turn to a practitioner or a friend if you need to for support. And then affirm for yourself, I live in an infinite, abundant universe. God is the source and substance of my supply. I want for nothing. I cannot outgive the infinite, right? Use those affirmations to shift. So I invite you this week to consider what area of your life you would like to give more freely. Your time, your talent, your treasure. And then reflect on the abundance that is already all around you and within you as you step into this divine experiment. Are you willing? Yes. Are you willing enthusiastically? Yes. All right, let's take it into prayer. Taking that deep breath. We open our hearts and minds to recognize the truth of the One, this infinite source of life that is abundance, this infinite cosmic isness that is joy and freedom and creativity, that is expressing in, as, and through all life, knowing and recognizing this life of abundance is the very life that is breathing me. I am one with all. How good it is to recognize and to know this truth, that as I breathe in, I must breathe out in order to be able and willing to again breathe in. Life is sustained by the cycle of giving and receiving. So how good it is to know that God is the source and substance of my supply. How good it is to know that there is an infinite presence living and moving and having its being in, as, and through me. And I am always at choice. I get to choose how to express this infinite source in a way that only I can, as the unique expression of the divine. So I enthusiastically move into this divine experiment, saying yes to giving freely of my time, talent, and treasure, to get to know myself and the divine more fully by stretching a little past my comfort zone and activating that flow and saying yes to the law of giving, as the law always says yes and corresponds to my word. So with great gratitude for the realization of the abundance and the infinite nature of life expressing in, as, and through me, expressing as the very lives of each and every person hearing the sound of my voice right here, right now, for this beloved community, Ahava Center for Spiritual Living. With great gratitude for the fulfillment of this prayer, I release this word into the action of the law that always says, yes, my beloved, it is done. And we accept this by saying, and so it is.